It's over. Caitriona Balfe's husband bullying hell. Heartbreaking truth H's kept hidden for years. Old photo and strange message. Caitriona Balfe sat alone in the living room of her London loft. The soft yellow light cast a warm glow over the wall carpet, but the atmosphere in the room was strangely cold. On the table was a beige envelope, no address, no sender, just a single line, "You deserve to know the truth." Inside was an old, blurry photograph, taken in a high school playground. In it, a skinny boy was pressed against a wall by a tall, young man. His face was hidden in shadow, but his eyes, his gait. Caitriona immediately recognized him as her husband, Tony McGill. At the same time, her phone rang. Unknown number. "I am a victim of Tony. He ruined my childhood. If you want to know more, come see me. But be prepared, everything you know about him is a cover." The perfect husband. In the eyes of the public, Tony McGill is the ideal husband, a successful, discreet businessman who always supports Caitriona in her acting career. They rarely appear in the media, but every time they appear together, it makes fans believe in a lasting love. Tony has never been involved in any scandals, no controversial statements, no paparazzi. But could it all be a mask? Caitriona remembers the times Tony dodged her questions about his past. He would often say, "I was quite shy when I was young. Nothing special." Now, that sentence rings out like a light lie. A meeting in the dark. 3 days later, Caitriona went to an old cafe in the suburbs of South London. A man in his 40s, gaunt and deep-set, waited for her with an old file. "I'm Michael Brennan," he said, his voice low. "In high school, Tony McGill was my nightmare." Michael handed her copies of school reports, chronicling incidents, school violence, threats, humiliation, but the perpetrators' names were always hidden from official records. He was a manipulator. He pretended to be a model student, but behind closed doors, he was different. Caitriona didn't want to believe it. She looked deep into Michael's eyes. "Do you have any proof?" Michael nodded, handing her an old recording, converted from a cassette tape. "If you say another word, I'll kick you out of this school." "Do you think I don't dare?" The voice was deep, cold, and familiar. It was Tony's. Face to face, Caitriona couldn't keep quiet. That night, she showed the recording to her husband. Tony listened, speechless. His eyes were dark, not his usual calm. "You went to Michael Brennan? You deserve to know the truth, Tony." Tony walked to the window, silent for a long moment. "I buried it for almost 25 years. I'm not proud, but I'm not that person anymore." "And you only found out because someone sent you an anonymous letter?" He turned, his voice cracking. "No, Tony, I found out because you didn't trust me enough to tell me. Separation papers." A week later, the media was abuzz. Caitriona Balfe announced her separation. No reason given. No mention of the scandal. No defense, no criticism. In a brief interview with The Times, she simply said, "When you live with someone for so long, sometimes you think you know them. But the truth is, everyone has a dark side. The question is whether they dare to face it and change. For me, I'd choose the truth. Even if it breaks my heart, the past cannot be erased." After the news of the separation spread, a series of debates broke out in the media and the public. Some regretted a seemingly stable marriage. The other half began to dig into Tony McGill's past, which he had tried to bury forever. An independent reporter named Anna Keller went to the Dublin High School where Tony had studied. She discovered a series of improperly kept files, including complaints from at least 5 students, all describing the same pattern of behavior: intimidation, mental bullying, social isolation, and cruel insults. One student even had to change schools after Tony had gotten a group of classmates to humiliate her in front of the teacher, and no one dared to speak up. Anna met one of the victims, Claire Doyle, now an art teacher. When she was played the old recording, her eyes welled up with tears. "I thought he had forgotten about it. That I was a small blemish on a successful man's life. But, now I know, he never really faced it." A letter to Caitriona. A month after Caitriona moved out, a handwritten letter arrived for her through her personal assistant. There was no name, no address, just a line: "If this is the last time you read anything from me, let it be the truth." Caitriona opened the letter, her hands shaking slightly. "Caitriona, I don't expect forgiveness. I know you were hurt, but after you left, I realized that what I feared most wasn't your judgment, it was having to look at myself. I've lived my whole life as 2 people. 1. The husband you loved. 2. The wounded boy, unable to control his anger and fear, turned it into a twisted power. Michael, Claire, and the others, they deserved an apology, but more than anything, they deserved action." He wrote letters of apology to each of them, not to appease public opinion, but because he didn't want to be a husband who ran away from the truth for another second. "If there was an afterlife, or a chance, I just wanted to love you again, with a completely clean heart." Tony.